Okay, so I think you have attempted the questions of 2007, and I hope you had this experience of doing a past paper like for the first time regarding the O levels, right? So sometimes you may have tried this earlier, or sometimes maybe you are doing this for the very first time. Like, however, as I told you, you have to be honest to yourself and just try it with your weapons, right? So with your knowledge, then it will like reflect what you really are, all right? So yeah, now in 2007, 2008, and 2009, as I remember, the paper structure goes like this, right? So from 2000, as I remember, 2008 or 9, the structure is going to change, right? So like then after there is this one question. Yeah, it is from the 2008. So like from the very next paper. This paper is the only paper which allows you to like choose 5 out of 7, right? So like by next paper, first question is compulsory, and from rest of the questions you have to choose 4. So that is the way that the paper is here always, right? So in the 2007 paper, you are just given 7 questions and you can choose any 5 that you need, all right? And all these 5 questions has the same weight when it comes to the questions, but by the next paper, you will see the first question, it has 20 marks with it, and rest of the 4 questions has 10 marks with it. So like by 2008, they are giving an extra weight to the first question, and it has extra amount of sub questions inside it, all right? Okay, now, yeah, who has attempted the first one? Usually I ask you to like attempt everything. So I just need to know who has attempted the first one. And meanwhile, let me take the marking scheme as well. Okay, Minul has, Bisandi has, right, okay. All right, Vinadi, right, okay, okay. And Tamadi, Serania, that's a good one. People like try to do the whole paper when you are like trying the things, right? So like it will be very helpful for you, right? When you are doing the paper in a like in total, right? I'm not asking you to like try the entire paper within the given time, right? First, within the given time, attempt the required questions, right? Or like the set questions. Then after, you may go for the other 2 questions that you left with, right? Okay, so let me take the marking scheme of this. Yeah. So yes. So the questions, they are about the following figure shows the basic input process output model using information technology. Accordingly, a system receives data, its input, and performs a meaningful process to deliver information as the output. Right? That's good, Bisanti. Right? And the question is, now they have given you the normal the picture of the or the model of any kind of system, which is input, process, and output. So they have mapped the data into this system. So like data will be taken as an input, it will be processed, and the information will be the output. And in the second para, they say an information system has been developed to input income and expenses of a person under different categories of need, such as food, house rent, health, etc. for person. The system is provide information on monthly total for each category of his expenses, the total expenditure of the month and the saving of the month, right? So it gives you different kinds of outputs, right? Monthly total for each category and total expenditure and the savings, right? So the first question that they are saying is, in addition to inputs given above, suggest another 5 inputs that can be entered into the system. Now, the system proceedings, or like the things that the user is going to do with the system, is described over this particular paragraph, right? So there they have illustrate some inputs, saying that system have been developed to input income and expense of a person under different categories of needs. So for an example, they have said food, house rent, health, etc. So what they are asking is, apart from this food, house, rent, health, and all these things, give them the other kind of examples that can be taken as an input to this system. So there can be various type of inputs. So what are the answers that you have given people? Can I have? Yeah, Seran? Yeah, transportation expenses, electricity expenses, water bill expenses, salary, yes, that is as an income. Yes, those can be taken, no problem. Any alternative answers? Meanwhile, I'll show you the marking scheme as well. So in the marking scheme, they have given inputs in different, they have given it like providing categorizedly, right? So you only need to input any 5 of these things, all right? Dividends income, yes, Tulagi, interest income, yeah, you can have that, right? So look at the incomes that they have said. Now, you don't need to specify whether these things are incomes or expenses. Just you can write it, I'm sorry. You can write it as a mixture without indicating whether these are incomes or expenses. Just any 5 answers is sufficient, right? So it is taking monthly salary, income received from the businesses, income received from the money lending, right? There are many kinds of things that they have given, right? And just go through these things. So these are the eligible answers, and there can be many other answers which is similar to this. And if you got anything different than this, let me know through the chat, so I will tell whether it is eligible or not, right? And if you have provided all 5 things, right, all 5 things, you can take 1 mark for each example. So 5 marks will be given for the first part, right? And be very careful, people. See whether you have written the answer in a full manner, right? Like, don't just have the fractions of things, right? I don't think you are given something very as in fractions. Like, don't write the answers like water bills, just water bills, right? Just specify expenditure on water bill, or like expenditure on the telephone bills and all these things, right? It's better you indicate whether it is an income or an expense, right? As well as, like, apart from these incomes and expenses, it can require other data as well, like name of the person, first day of the month, last day of the month, those kind of things, right? And there can be similar kind of answers. If you got anything which is not in this list, just ask me, I'll tell you whether it is correct or wrong. If you got any 5, you can have 5 marks. So like 1 mark for each answer, right? Okay, so moving forward, the second question is asking about what calculation should be performed by the system in order to produce the above information. So like the information that we are going to have, like we are going to have different kinds of informations, right? So like, what are those? Like monthly total for each category, right? The total expenditure of the month and savings of the month, right? So it is asking what calculation should be performed by the system in order to produce the above information. So the final need, or like the very last requirement, is to identify how much he has saved, right? So to do that, you should have total of incomes, the grand total of expenditures. So from the income, once the expenditures is being deducted, then you can see what's the net saving, or like the saving for the month, right? So that is the idea that you have to give you through your answer, right? Now, if you look into the marking scheme, they said something like this. Your answer should not be something exactly same like this, but it should have the idea, right? So it says to get the total for each category, add the items on each categories, to get at the total expenditure at the total of each category, to get the savings, deduct the total income with total expenditures, right? So this is something additional, like saving of the month equals total income minus total expenditure. It doesn't matter that you haven't illustrated that, all right? If you describe it well, so you can earn the marks, right? So if you have written anything differently, just let me know, right? So I will tell like in how you are going to receive the marks. So if you got the idea totally, you can have 4 marks, right? But be very careful when you are marking your paper, right? Just see whether you got all the important points inside it, right? So you have to tell how you are going to take the total of the incomes, how we are going to take the total of the expenditure, then how you are going to take the savings by reducing expenditure from the income, right? So if you have given that idea, you can get 4 marks for that, right? And yeah, for the third one, so the question is, briefly explain why the above system can be considered as an example of batch processing system. Now, batch processing system, as I remember, now it is not in your syllabus, but it's better you remember that small fact, right? So the batch processing system, it is said because of this batch process. In a batch processing system, we have to collect the data for a certain amount of period, right? So to calculate the savings of the month, you have to collect the data for a 1 month of period, right? So for a 1 month of period, that the person who is gathering this data, he will gather the incomes over that period and the expenditures over that period. So like for a 1 month, or like for a certain period, they are gathering the data. So after 1 month is done, they will process those data to have the ultimate answer, or the final answer, right? So that is why it is called the batch processing system. And since it is not in your syllabus, just have the idea, and I'm going to give you those 3 marks, so you can have those 3 marks into your answer, right? So because the third part contains 3 marks, so it doesn't matter whether you have described it or not, you can have that 3 marks since it is not in your syllabus, right? But have the idea, it is good to have that idea since you are an ICT student, right? Sometimes in the papers, they just go with something very similar. So you may have the idea what the batch processing system is. So we gather the data for a certain amount of period, then after we are going to process. Like if a company or a particular institute, when they are calculating the monthly salary for a particular employee, it's a batch processing system that they are doing. So on a 1 month of a period, they just gather the things, right? The attendance, the overtime, and all these things. Then after a month, they are going to process it to calculate what is the monthly salary of this particular employee. Right? Okay. Is that clear, everyone? Yes, and mark it and let me have the marks, how many you got out of 10. So the first part having 5 marks, second part is having 4 marks, and the last part is having 3 marks. Right, so people, I'm telling this to you again and again. When you are doing the paper, time it. Don't do the questions like with the random intervals, right? Do it at a straight, take 2 hours and finish the paper. Then after, in a later time, you can try what you have left over, right? Mesanda, yeah, that's a good mark, right? So keep it up, right? Learn the mistakes, right? How about others? Bisandi, that's good. It's very good. Methika, okay, that's good. Viriti, that's good. Learn the mistakes, right? Learn the mistakes. Okay, so with that, I'm going to move to the second question. Who has done the second question? It's an easy one, right? Okay. All right, many have done that. Okay. All right. So the second question, what they are asking is, suppose you are the chief organizer of the annual educational trip of the school. If you have the freedom to use the computer available in the computer room, suggest what software package you would use to perform each of the tasks listed listed below. Give reasons for your selection. And you have to reason, right? Reasoning should happen. Yes, Saran. Any question? Last part, it's 3 marks, Sarah. So altogether it is 12. So you have to see how many out of 12, right? Okay, so this is pretty easy, right? They are just asking what kind of software that you are going to use for these tasks and what is the reason, or like why did you choose that? So prepare a letter for the parents of the student to inform about the event. So definitely you are going to go for a word processing software, right? Because using a word processing software, we will be able to do the documentation like preparing a letter, right? So we can use various kinds of fonts, various kind of formats. There are templates as well. So if you want, we can use those things. Even we can use the facilities like mail merge when we are preparing the letters with the like most of the same contents, right? So using those mail merge facilities, we can print the document very easily, right? So those kind of reasons can be given, right? So in the marking scheme, you can say, you can see they have said Microsoft Word, like have they asked for the specific name of a software, such as software package? Yeah, it doesn't matter, you say word processing software, right? You don't need to say like specifically Microsoft Word, right? So you can say word processing software, or you can give any kind of word processing softwares, right? Right, the Microsoft Word or Pages or any kind of things, right? Open Office, Writer kind of things, it doesn't matter, right? So what they have said is like an example of how to justify the things. You don't need to have the exact answer like this, but the idea again, people, right? This is used to prepare letters. It provides a good interface to edit text and modify the user's desire. Mail merge facility is also present when sending letters to many people, right? So in the next one, so like if you are like having like if you got correct mark or like correct facts regarding the first point, or the first part, you can have 2.5 for that part. So the mark allocation, it is gone like 2.5 for first 4 categories and only 2 marks for the very last category, right? So prepare the budget of the trip. So preparing budget means it's a calculation thing, right? So to do the calculation, you can use a spreadsheet software like Microsoft Excel, like OpenOffice Calc, right? Yes, Saran. They have missed the like they have mistyped the number of the answers in the marking scheme. So just ignore the number. It should be like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, Access, and the browser. So when you are saying about the spreadsheet software, you have to say these kind of softwares are providing the calculation and the analyzing facility, as well as it has this facility to provide chart kind of diagrams, right? So you can give a data set and you can populate a chart using those data, and can be presented to the people easily, and the people who are going to see that as well will understand the things very clearly when it is being presented with a chart kind of output, right? So for the second one, it should be the spreadsheet software, and you have to do the explanation. And in case if you just mention the name of the software, you are going to have only 1 mark for that, right? No explanation, only the software, then it's only 1 mark. If you got the name and the explanation, then you can have 2.5, right? So the third one, they are asking about prepare the presentation on the places to be visited. So presentation, that means definitely the presentation software, electronic presentation softwares like PowerPoint, right? And there are many in that kind. So you can give any of the examples of those. And then you have to say, like using these slides and the having the facilities like animations, transitions, right? They can clearly present the things in an interactive manner, and using all these colors and formattings, we will be able to like attract the audience to our presentation. So like to prepare that kind of a presentation, it's a presentation software like Microsoft PowerPoint can be used, right? In the fourth one, it says keep records of each student in a database who are going on a trip along with their parents' details. Now, keeping records in a database. Now, in a database, then you have to say database management system, right? Or a software like MS Access or MySQL or Oracle kind of things, right? So when you are like storing things into a database, it is very easy for them to search things. It is very easy to filter the things. It is very easy to like separate the data and illustrate it in a very clear manner, right? So those kind of explanation should be given over here, since they are asking you to justify it, right? So as per the marking scheme, it says this provides a good way of retrieving vital data stores, and it allows easy searching in database, right? So again, you don't need to have the exact words in your answer, but you should have the idea about this. So finally, they are asking about searching something, right? Find out more information from the internet about the places to be visited. So definitely, it's going to be a browser, right? So without the browser, we won't be able to search, right? So they are asking what kind of software packages, or like what kinds of software that we are going to use. You have to use a browser, that is the software. If you say a search engine is not a software. It is a facility given by the internet, right? So then, yes, you can give the examples like Chrome, like Microsoft Edge, or like Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Safari. There are different kinds of browsers. So you can give any kind of browser. right? And then you have to say through the browser, we will be able to go through the connect with the search engines, and we can surf or we can search the places that we are going to visit, right? So that idea should be within your answer, right? So here they have said Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox. It's not only those two, there are many, right? So the explanation should carry Internet Explorer or Mozilla Firefox are currently the standard web browsers. You don't need to mention the names, right? So like using a standard web browser, it is allowed to view any internet website, and using the search engines, the user will be able to search things regarding the visiting places in a very huge manner. Right, so if you are given the answers in the correct manner, first 4 parts will take 2.5 per each, and the last one is going to take only 2 marks. Right, so please mark it. If you are getting any doubts regarding your answers, you can ask, right? Or you can send me a WhatsApp image, so I will go through and see whether it is okay or not. All right. Okay, people, how about the second question? Is that clear? Okay. Right. So how about the marks? People who have done that? Okay, Onetra, that's a good one. And people, like now, when you are practicing to do all the questions in the paper, in your real examination, you will keep that practice as well, right? So when you are answering it on your real exam, remember to answer the first 5 questions, or like the most confident 5 questions should be answered first, right? First question is a must anyway, right? And rest of the 4 questions, first 4 questions should be the most confident 4 questions from the paper, right? Then go for the other 2 if you really need to go for it. Why I'm asking you to do all the questions now, it is for practicing, because you are going through the entire syllabus when you are doing that, right? No problem, Diniti. We have discussed 2 questions so far, Dua. So you may catch it up through the recording, right? So, and since there are new people in the room, I'll show you how to refer the recordings as well, right? So most of you know about this. So you need to visit to the website starapps.lk, right? That is the website that I am handling. In case if your browser says this website is not secure, I am guaranteeing it is a secure website. So don't worry for any, if you got any messages like that, right? So once you reach there, there is this menu, which is called the lesson recording. So in that lesson recording, go to the Star Labs recording, right? So on this page, you will be able to find many different recordings regarding many different classes which I am conducting. So for you, the recording is under the grade 11 2021 sessions, right? So this is the player that contains all your recordings, right? So the recording or the clip that you can see is the latest upload. That means the last week class. If you want to refer the previous classes, you can just click on this hamburger icon, right? I hope you know what is the hamburger icon is, right? So this is the hamburger icon. So once you click on that, you will be getting the playlist. So in the playlist, you have all the sessions that we have done from the very beginning of the class, right? So these are YouTube videos, people. So if you activated your any YouTube package regarding your device, it's going to cost you regarding that package, right? So there are very cheaper packages for you to prefer the YouTube videos nowadays, right? Like 350 for the entire month, unlimited, with the standard definition videos, right? So you can just go through and see what really you want to do. Yeah, Minol, about your question. No, Minol, no. What you are asking is, like whether we have to do the questions in an order. That doesn't matter, right? Always start the question from a new side, like from a new page, right? Ekama paper එකන එකම කොලේ භාගයක් ඉදි ඉතුරුනොත් ඊළඟට question number එක දාලා එතනම පටන් ගන්න එපා කීයටවත්, right? Even in your question, the exam paper, they specially mention about that. Start a new question from a new page, right? So you can go with any order, right? So you can do the first question first, then the 7th question next, then the 5th question, then the 3rd question. That doesn't matter. The only thing is you have to give the complete reference, right? So you can rotate it as much as you want, and don't write the answers here and there, right? Again, I don't think you are going to go for something like that, right? If you are doing a question, do it straight away, finish it, go for a new page, start a new question from there, right? And okay, Tamadi, right? Okay, yeah, Saran, I'll come to the question once I'm done with the explanation, Saran. Let's first finish up with these things. Then I will definitely answer your question, right? Okay, so yeah, moving to the 3rd question. It is regarding the programming, right? So they say the following, I'm sorry, where is this? Yeah, the third question, first section. And who has done the 3rd? Lot says you have done everything, and I think most of you have. Okay, Minol has. Okay. All right. Okay. So the 3rd question, it says, write down the output generated by the following flow chart. Write down the output generated by the following flow chart, right? So to figure out what is the output from a flow chart, you should have the ability to hand trace this or to do a dry run, right? So how we are going to hand trace this, right? We can hand trace it in this particular manner. So when you are hand tracing it, remember, you have to maintain a table which indicates the variable of a flow chart or in a pseudocode, right? So all you have to do is like maintaining that particular variable, and you should have one column for each variable. If you are finding 3 different variables, you should have 3 columns in your table, as well as if you have any outputs or any displays, you should have a separate column to do that as well, right? So I'm going to hand trace this right over here. So you are going to start. So nothing is going to happen when you are starting. So the next one is x equals 1. So here starts our hand tracing table, right? So x is going to have the value 1. So then it says display x. So I told you, if you got a display, you should have a separate column. So this is going to show you the display. And it says display x. That means 1 is going to display. Then it says x equals x plus 1. Now, what does this mean? add a 1 to the existing value of x. So the total should be assigned to the x again. So the existing value of x is 1. You are adding a 1 to that x. So 1 plus 1 will be 2. And you are assigning that 2 into the x again. So instead of 1, x will become 2. So then this is the condition box. Here we are going to check the condition. And the question is whether x is larger than 5. So x is 2, larger than 5. Now this is false or it is a no. So you should flow on the no path. So no path continues you up here. So then it says display x again. So that means you are going to display 2. Why? Because the value of x is 2 for the moment. Then we are going to do this part again. X equals x plus 1. So the current value of the x is 2. 2 plus 1 is 3. So 3 will be assigned to the x. Again, this checks. Now it is checking whether 3 is larger than 5. So it is not again. Going again and going to display. So 3 is going to display. And then this process is going to happen. X equal x plus 1. That means it will be increased by 1. So 3 will become 4, the x. Then again, it is going to check. So now they are checking whether 4 is larger than 5, right? So still it is not. So going to the top again, displaying the x. So that means it is going to display 4, right? And then this particular thing is going to happen. X equals x plus 1. So 4 will be increased as 1. So 5. Now they are going to check the condition again. They are asking the question 5 is larger than 5, right? So is 5 larger than 5? What is the answer? Is it yes or no?
No.
Answer is no. Yeah. So still it is going to go on this path. Right? Then displaying x. So that means 5 is also going to display. Then x is going to be increased from 5 to 6. Now it is checking whether x is larger than 5. In that case, it is checking whether 6 is larger than 5. Now it is yes. So it is going to end. So what is going to be your output? Your output is going to be this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? So let's see whether the marking scheme has the same answer. No, they only take 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, there must have been a mistake. It should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We can clearly see what happens when the flow chart executes. Right? So it should be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 should be there, people. Right? If you don't have the 5, you're going to lose some marks for that. Right? So the very first question, I'm going to give you 6 marks. So 6 marks are going to be allocated like this. If all 5 are presented, you can have 6 marks for that. Right? And if you do not have, if you miss any one output, you are going to reduce 1 accordingly, right? If you wrote any particular answer, you can have, starting from 6, you are going to reduce for the missing number, right? So if you have all 5 numbers, you are going to have 6 marks. Is that clear, people? Do you have any questions? Minul, it is 6 marks because Minul, there is only 2 parts. So I have to give you like 6 and 6 in halfway manner, right? Because in the last part, they are just asking you to write down the output for that one particular line. It's going to give you 1.5, right? So you can have 6 marks. If you are wrong with any one thing, you are going to reduce 1 mark for each and every incorrect answer. Right? So if, and people, since there are new people in the room, you can always question me, right? That is how our class is going on, right? So whenever you get the doubt, you disturb me and you question me, right? That is how we are going to learn, right? It doesn't matter whether whether you have forgot that thing or whether you don't know that thing, right? We are here to figure those things out, right? Okay, so moving to the second part. The second part says what? The following is a part of pseudocode which is used to evaluate the final grade achieved by the students in an examination based on the average mark obtained for 2 subjects, right? And they have given a particular pseudocode right over here. And the name and the marks for the subject are as follows. So these are the inputs or the data regarding the inputs. So what they're saying is write the output of the above pseudocode for each student. And again, you need to hand trace this and see, right? Okay, so let's start that. I'm going to clear this up. If you want anything to be cleared before I go for this, so just ask, right? All right, now what's going on over here? Right now, this says set average to 0, right? So I'm going to have a variable called average, right? And it will be set to 0. And it says get name, get mark for subject 1, get mark for subject 2. That means Arthur will be taken, 40 will be taken, 80 will be taken, right? So name, subject 1, subject 2 will be these values. So it says average equals subject 1 plus subject 2 divided by 2, right? So 40 plus 80, it is 120, divided by 2, it's going to be a 60, right? So first, the very first, the average is going to be 60, right? Yeah, yes, Saran, right? So then it is asking another question. This is a selection because it is used the if condition. It says if average larger than or equal 50. So that is the condition. If average larger than or equals to 50, it says display name, right? Yeah, it's not a very good way of illustrating the output. It's better they have put it as the next line, right? Anyway, they say display name and comma and pass, right? So you are going to display 2 things, right? Name and pass, right? So the condition is if average larger than 50. Now the average is 60 for the moment, so it is larger than 50. Excuse me. And the first display is going to be what? Arthur right? Arthur. If you want, you can put a particular space and you can say pass, right? When you are writing the pass, be very sure to have capital P with it, right? Because those things are given in the inverted commas, so you have to illustrate as it is, right? And Arthur, it should start from capital A because that is how it is being illustrated inside the table, right? And since the If condition is true, only this part is going to happen and it is not going to go for the else part, right? So now you can understand what really happens here is they just add the two numbers or the marks for the subjects and calculate the average and check whether it is larger than or equals to 50. If it is larger than 50, it's going to show its name and a pass. If it is equals to 50, still it is going to show the relevant student name and pass. If it is less than 50, it is going to display the name and the fail, right? So if you think about the Bertie, he has 60 plus 70, 130 is the sum. So the average is 65. So Bertie is going to be a pass student. So it's going to give you Bertie and pass. And if you are going to go with the Charlie, Charlie has 40 plus 60, that is 100. 100 divided by 2, it gives you 50. So it is equals to 50, average is equals to 50. So Charlie is going to be considered as a pass student too. So it's going to be Charlie and pass. And David, the poor one, 30 plus 50, the answer is 80. So 80 divided by 2, it's 40. 40 is not larger than or equals to 50. So for David, they are going to show you fail. Yes, people, is that clear? Everyone? And you will see this program in question. It will be slightly developing when it comes to the other papers, right? Since this is the very first paper, you may feel this is little bit silly or a little bit easy, right? But you will see it is developed through the time a little, right? Not into the hard part, right? Okay, so if your answer in your paper should be this, right? This part should be the answer. So if you got all 8 things, all 8 things means the correct name with the correct grade, right? So you are going to have 1.5 for each correct name and its grade. So 1.5 into 4 will give you 6 marks. So if you got anything wrong regarding a particular line, so you are going to lose 1.5. Right, so see how many you got, right? And this is a question. Yeah, Saran, Arthur dash pass still acceptable, but Saran, it's better you omit the dash, Saran, because in the display it says name, comma, and a pass name. So like name will indicate, take the value for the name. And then the phrase called pass or the word called pass is going to be there, right? Doesn't matter if you put a dash or if you put a comma, you can have the marks, don't worry, but be careful, right? It will be very much better if it goes the way as it shows. Okay, how about the marks, people? And any questions?
So can we write the output without spacings?
Like Bertie without space pass?
Yes, sir.
Still it is acceptable because they haven't told you, they haven't specified you what kind of a thing should be there in between the name and the pass. So it doesn't matter, right? But generally when we are writing it and generally most of the programming languages, they by default, they put a space when they are separating things from a comma, right? But still it is acceptable because this is a pseudocode, right?
Okay, sir.
Okay. Right, Onetra. Okay, that's good. That is a very good mark, Onetra. Dulagi, very good. Right, Tamadi. Okay. One thing went wrong. Oh, never mind, never mind. Learn the mistakes though, right? All right, good. You have scored, many of you have scored a very good mark on that, right? So we are moving to the fourth question, right? So what's going on with the fourth question? Let me see. Okay, the Excel question. Yeah, Minol, okay. All right, Minol. So learn the mistakes, Minol, right? It's just, I think it's going to be a silly mistake. It should have been a silly mistake, right? People, it's always like when it comes to all of you, you people are like, now you know about the subject, right? So whatever the mistakes that you are going to make, it's going to be a silly one or a careless one, right? So now this is the time for you to concentrate on that, concentrate on your carelessness or your silliness, right? So then you will be go for the best, right? You'll be going for the best. Okay. So the fourth one, it is talking about following is a part of a Microsoft Excel spreadsheet that a school teacher used to work out the cost for what is this? Expanding the school's computer laboratory to facilitate laboratory to facilitate more students. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. Okay. So they have provided us the Excel sheet. So the column headers are there, row headers are there, and the details are there. Item description is the first column, unit cost, that is the cost for one particular item, and the quantity is there, how many that we are going to purchase, and the total cost is there. So we can recognize it by the simple mathematics. Unit cost is into quantity, is going to calculate you the total cost, and the discount is there. So the final cost is going to be the discounted price from the total cost. So like you are going to reduce 10% from your total cost to have the final cost, right? So when you are given a particular Excel sheet, that particular idea you should have in your mind, right? You should be able to analyze what really happens inside the this particular Excel sheet, right? So the total cost, it is calculated by unit cost into the quantity, right? And the final cost is calculated by total cost minus discount, right? So discount, you should calculate the discount. It's not the 10% that we are going to reduce, the value for the 10%, right? Yeah, so the first question that they are asking is, state the formulas which would be contained in the following cells. It is for D2 that they are asking. D2 means this, the total cost, right? So what should be the equation in that? It should be equals, and total cost can be calculated by unit cost multiplied by the relevant quantity. So it should be B2 star mark C2, right? It should be like this. The capitalness, simpleness, they don't bother about it, because it doesn't matter with like how we are going to write the cell addresses using the capital letters or simple letters. It's going to work, right? So it's better you stick to the capital letters, because column headers are given in capital. But in case by mistake, if you put a simple one, it's not going to be wrong, but it will be much better if you go for the capitals, right? So the answer for the A part is going to be equals B2 into C2. If you got it correct, you can have 3 marks for that, right? And F2 is this. Now F2, it is something for you to think, right? So F2 can be written in many different ways, right? I'll show you the simpler way that we can do, right? So the simpler way, there can be several different methods, right? Yeah, yes, Saran. That could have done. right? So for F2, how we are going to write it? For this, we can say the total cost is in D2, equal sign should be at the front. So equals T2 minus D2 into E2, right? That will be the simplest way of doing it, right? And if you are thinking about something complex, you can write it using B2 into C2 as well. So either you can write it like this, B2 into C2 minus again B2 into C2 into E2. Right? You can go by those two methods. So any of the answer will give you 3 marks. Right? So why did I write it like that? The total cost is going to give you the final cost. So final cost is calculated. We take the total cost that is in the D2, 275. We reduce 10% of D2. So that is the 10% is calculated by this D2 into E2. So it will give you the 10%, which is 27,500. So from 207, I'm sorry. I just forget how to write it. 275,000. What is this? 275,000 will be minus and 27,500. Yes. And yeah, Tamadi, yes, you can have the brackets there, no problem, right? So what Tamadi is asking, whether we can have brackets over here, doesn't matter. It gives the same answer, right? And there is another one, another answer, which is, yeah, Himidiri, D2 into 90%. Yeah, even that can be accepted doer because they haven't said to be write the things only by referring to the cell addresses, right? But it's a bit risky answer doer, right? It's better you go with the cell references if you can acquire it using the cell references, right? Since they don't have any restrictions here, your answer can also be taken as a correct one. What Himidiri is saying is like equals D2 into 90%. Yeah, it will give the final cost as well, right? So if they really said like write it using only write it only using by the cell references, so then this is going to be a problem. Okay, so that is the answer for the F2, right? So then they are asking about the F7, right? Here in F7, you have to write different kinds of formulas again. Even you can use function if you want, right? So you can say equals how? Starting from F2, F2 plus, F3 plus, F4 plus, F5 plus, F6 can be given as the correct answer. As well as you can say sum F2 colon F6, that is can also be taken as a correct answer. And even you can write things like this as well. Sum F2 comma F3 comma F4 comma F5 comma F6, right? Even like that, you can provide the answer, right? So the marks are going to go like 3 marks for this, and 3 marks for this, and 3 marks for this. So each and every part is going to have 3 marks. Right. So any questions regarding this? Okay. Right. So the second part is asking list 3 advantages of using spreadsheet package for such a calculation rather than using a calculator and a paper. Right. So you can have many different reasons, right? I'll go by the marking scheme. Anyone? Do you got a question? Yeah. So here they have given that reduce errors, it's faster, right? Data represented can be converted into a graphical representation as well, right? So you can say it saves time as well, which is something equals to the faster, but don't write it is faster and it saves time. It means the same thing, right? So either you have to say it is faster or you have to say it saves time. Right, so for any alternative answers, if you got any, just let me know. So like they are asking for 3 reasons. So if you got any additional reasoning, let me know so I'll tell you whether it is correct or wrong. Right, so for number 4, the question number 4, each and every part is going to take you 3 marks. So part A, part B, part C are going to have separate 3 marks for each subtype, and the part 2 is going to have 3 marks alone. And people, I'm not going to reminding you at the end of each and every class, you have to do a paper to the next week. So that is the way that we are going to go now, right? So for each week, you have to do a complete paper, right? 2007 is done. Next week, it's 2008, right? Week after 2009, likewise, right? So keep doing. So the only thing that you need to do regarding the ICT, do that paper, time it and do it, right? So you only need to spend 3 hours regarding IT, that's all. So make use of it, people. Give your best shot, then you will see what is the progress that you are going to receive, right? Okay, so let's move to the 5th question. And in the 5th question that they are asking, what they are asking is, yeah, it is regarding the data and information and all these things, right? So in the first question, they are asking what is data? So I go by the marking scheme, right? So it says data are raw facts that is input to the computer, right? Right, okay. Minol, I will send the very beginning papers 27, 28, 29, and all these things, right? I'll drop it to the all the groups, right? Both the groups, so you can take it, right? Okay, so you have to tell data are raw facts that is input to the computer. Like you don't really need to say like it is been input to the computer. Like you can say data are defined as the raw facts, right? So if you have that particular idea regarding it, you can have 1 mark for that, for defining data, right? So in the second part, what they are asking is list 3 difficulties of handling large volumes of data, right? List 3 difficulties of handling large volumes of data, right? Kind of a big data that they are talking about, right? So here, difficult to find specific data, right? When you are handling it, like here, like it's better they would have asked with the word manually, right? But they haven't said something like manually in their question. It's 3 difficult of handling large volumes of data. That's all that they are asking, right? So like if you got a computer or a database kind of a thing, it's not that hard to manage the data. But if you're going to handle it manually, then these difficulties will arise, right? Seran, yes, reduce accuracy and efficiency, yes, can be taken, right? Some data might accidentally lost or deleted, security problems, right? Unreliability, right? Those kind of things can be taken, right? So they are asking for like 3 difficulties, right? So if you have given enough 3 difficulties, you can have 3 marks for that, right? So if you got any doubts regarding this, any of your answers, just let me know, right? So I will tell you, right? If you send me a particular WhatsApp message, just remind me, people, then I'll go through the WhatsApp and see whether what are the things that you have sent, right? Okay, then the third part, what they are asking there is, what is a database? Briefly explain how you would overcome the difficulties mentioned in above by using a database. Yeah. So like when it comes to the database, it's better you say database is a structured collection of records that is stored in a computer system. That idea should have there, right? So you can say database is a collection of tables where the table contains the data regarding separate entities, right? So some kind of an explanation which illustrate what is a database is, what a database is, right? And then they are asking again the features, right? Yeah, how you would overcome the difficulties mentioned in 2 above using the database. So you have to talk relevantly, right? If you say difficult to find specific data, so you can say since the information is stored in a structural manner, database is able to easily locate specific data, right? Or we are going to say it is easy for searching when it is stored in a structured manner, right? And then, so these accidentally lost or deleted things in a database, all the data is in it, therefore less chance of losing track of data, right? So when it comes to a manual database, you can say like it can be destroyed due to the natural reasons, right? Or maybe due to the human errors, right? But when it comes to the electronic database, it has its own constraints and security. So it's going to be alert you if something is going to happen, or else it will mitigate the risk that is upon you, right? And a database can be securely maintained with a centralized secure system. Yeah, so like when it comes to the security, if it is a manual database or a database which is maintained in the on the papers, we can only lock it up, or like we can like make it safe by putting it inside a drawer or something with some basic security aspects. But when it comes to the electronic database, we can use username and password, and it can be handled remotely, right? Can be taken care remotely, right? So those kind of facilities are there, right? So you have to specify it clearly, right? So if you discuss, if you have mentioned the clear solutions or like clear remedies, which were the problem in the second part, you will be given 3 marks for each and every clear justification, right? And the fourth part, it is asking the types, right? What is the general name used to describe a set of software which creates, maintains, and utilizes database? List 2 popular examples of such software packages. So you have to say it's a database management system, in short terms DBMS. So you can have many different ones, starting from MS Access, MySQL, Fox Pro, Oracle, Paradox. There are many different kind of databases, right? So if you illustrate it clearly, you are going to receive 2 marks for that, right? So for saying database management system, you can have 1 mark separately. And for illustrating 2 popular softwares regarding DBMS, have another 2. Have another 1, right? So 1 for the DBMS, 1 for the examples. The final part of the 5th question, they say like, assume that you are asked to create a simple database containing the data of teachers of your school. List 5 fields that can be used to construct a table in the database. Give 2 sample records that you would enter in the table. They have given a sample answer, so your columns can be changed and can have more columns, or may have less number of columns. But it's better you specify how to identify a teacher. Now here they have identified a teacher by their NIC. So if you want, you can say you are going to use a teacher ID kind of things. It doesn't matter, right? So someone can answer it like by saying like teacher ID. What is this? Yeah, teacher ID and the teacher name like this, address, contact, right? Those kind of, right? It doesn't matter, right? And when you are going to give the sample data, it's better you give solid sample data for this, right? So in the answer, they have given some different data, and like this private address thing, we are not really installing a very lengthy private address in one particular cell in the database usually, right? But in your case, you will be given the value because it is not been pressured to that particular point, right? But be careful. We are going to like in the real world, when it comes to the database, it contains atomic values, right? So that means the values which can stays independently, right? So anyway, if you have drawn a particular database structure, and if you are having relevant field or relevant columns regarding a teacher, so you can have the marks, and you must have 2 particular data rows, right? Otherwise, you won't be able to grab all the marks, right? So in there, I can give you the allocation is going to be like 3. Yeah, and there should be 5 fields. I'm sorry, I missed that in the question. It specifically says you should have 5 fields, right? So it is a must to have the 5th one as well. If you are missing a 5th, you are going to reduce the marks. And Seran, yeah. Remind me, Seran, at the end of the class, right? Okay, so that is the end of the 5th question. So the marks were, I'll write it over here. So 1 mark for the first, and then 3 marks for the second and third parts, and 2 marks for this, and 3 marks here as well, right? So that is how the marks been allocated to these parts, right? Dulagi, yeah, hold on, let me see. Yes, can be taken those reasons, Dua. You are talking about the second question, right? Second question's 4th part, right, Dua? Yeah, can be taken, Dua, no problem. Okay, so moving to the 6th very quickly. The librarian of a certain school has decided to create a website for its library, right? So the first part is saying, assume that you have been appointed to develop the website. List 3 methods you will use to gather the required information. So like this is regarding the system lesson. So how we are going to gather the requirements? You can put the questionnaires, you can keep an interview, you can observe, right? And you can refer the documents, kind of things. So they are asking like how much, 3 methods, right? So you have to give 3 methods. So here it says inspection of documents, interviews, observation, questionnaires, any 3 of these can be taken, right? So if you got those 3 things there, you are going to take 3 marks, right? By analyzing similar websites, Saran, now they are asking about similar kind of website. Yeah, for the user design interface, or like the user interface designing, may need that kind of a research. Okay, can be given. Doing study on target users, yeah, sure, that can be taken, right? Okay, in the second one, it says list 5 items of information that should be included in the website, right? So here it goes, information relevant to the book. So like ISBN, book titles, book locations, book descriptions, availability status, those kind of things, right? And facilities for online help, right? As well as like information relevant to the library staff, who are the people that are working, right? So like you have to write one of these things, right? So they ask in these 3 items of information that should be included in this website. Yeah. So any 3 of these things, right? Okay. Yeah, Saran, rules and regulations. Rules and regulations, yeah, it's kind of remote thing. It's better you go for this inspection of documents over like interviews, observations, questionnaire kind of things, right? Okay, in the third part, it says these 3 advantages using by students from such a website, right? So this website is created to illustrate the library, or like to work as an e-library, right? So what are the advantages of the students? They can reserve a book online. They can search the books, whether those things are in the shelves, right? Or like they can refer ebooks as well, right? And easy to locate a specific book. You can search it and locate where this particular the book is, right? So those kind of things. So for the advantages, have they mentioned 3? List 3 advantages. Yeah. So for 3 advantages, you are going to take 3 again. The last part, it says give 3 ways in which the website makes the librarian task easy, right? So how it can be easy, right? Like she or he can easily see the books due, right? And less queries from the people for location of the books, because it is available on the website. So you can see what is the exact place. Can easily see which book are not present so that they can be ordered, right? Easy to inform special announcement, right? And those kind of reasons, right? Easy to maintain, right? So if you have given any 3 of those, again 3 marks can be given. So for each and every part, you are given with 3 marks, right? So the very last question, Seran, that's going to be a problem, Seran. If you write 5 things and 1 is wrong, then there is a possibility for them to reduce that mark, right? So if they ask for 3, go only for 3, right? Right? Don't go for further than that. Right? It's the same reason that I told you to write the questions in your confidence levels order, right? ඔයා පළවෙනි එක කරලා දෙවෙනි එක එච්චරම ෂුවර් නෑ නමුත් මම ප්‍රශ්න 6ම කරනවා ඒක නිසා දෙවෙනි එක කරලා යනවා කියලා පළවෙනි එකට පස්සේ දෙවෙනි එක ලිව්වොත් ලියලා පිළිවෙලින් 6 වෙනි 7 වෙනි ප්‍රශ්න වෙනකන් ලියලා ඉවර කරොත් sometimes there is a possibility to consider first 5 questions and leave out the other rest of the things. කොහොමත් marking එකේදී they advise us consider the first 5 questions, right? So be careful, right? Okay, the very last question is about the short notes, right? So advantages of using PC for studies. So these kind of factors you should include in your summary writing, right, of the short note. Easy notes, assessments and assignment can be typed and stored in a PC. Can use educational software to help in studies. Can use internet to learn new things. Those should be in your answer, right? So when you are writing the short note, those facts should be there, right? So the disadvantages of email, advantage of email over the traditional mail. So you have to talk about the instanceness, the cost, the very less chance of getting an email lost, right? So message can be forwarded to another as well. But inside the email we can, right? Attachments are available, those kind of things. The third one, it says disadvantage of internet. So we can say many, right? Personal information can be accessed by another party. All the task depends on the ISP. May the mobile experience right? Internet service provider service it depends on your quality of the internet connection, right? And many threats can become over like through the internet, like spamming, like viruses, like worms, kind of things can be there, right? And the fourth one is like improving the efficiency of Sri Lanka workforce using ICT. So you can argue it to the like on 2 ways, saying it is yes and saying it is no, right? If you are saying it is yes, improving it is possible. So you have to say ICT would benefit almost anyone in the workforce. It would be able to store large volume of data and all these things, right? It is difficult task that can be like any difficult task can be fixed by searching for a solution on the internet. So that is the positive part. The negative part, you can say like improving can be very challenging because due to this digital divideness, the different service providing facilities regarding the ISPs and all these things. So likewise, you can argue it to the negative side as well, right? So anyway, if you got those facts in your explanation, each and every part is going to have 3 marks in it, right? Okay, people, so that's the end of the paper discussion 2007. Please collect your marks, have the total and tell me how much you got out of 60, right? So consider only 5 questions, people. Don't consider all 8 questions. So you will be like having how many? 72 kind of things, right? So it's going to be something out of 60. And each and every one, please send me the marks because I'm recording your marks with my Google Sheet. So please send it to me as a private message, how much you have scored to this, how much out of 60. And with that, I'm going to end the session from here, so you can total your marks and send me the marks. I'll stay until you send me the marks, right? So by next week, we are going to talk about the 2008 paper. So get ready with the first and the second both, right? And I'll send you the papers. That's a very good mark on Etra Seran. That's very good, very good, right? So I'll send you the papers in case if you don't have the papers, and have a try paper, right? Give your best shot, and this is the time for you to like sharp up your weapons, right? Okay, so you can leave after sending your marks to the chat as a private message. And thank you very much, people. We are meeting on next week for the very same time, right? So have a nice weekend. I'll see you at 3 o'clock on next Sunday. Bye-bye, everyone. And people, I can see something very nice marks that you have received, right? I'm very happy for that. Keep it up, people, keep it up. Right? Seran, yes, give me a second, Seran, give me a second.